keep a kosher kitchen though?
We do.
Oh, that's awesome.
We do, and it's not, once you get used to doing it, it's not hard. But if you're not used to doing it, then, you know, it could be difficult in the beginning. Some people think it's exciting because we have 4, 5, 7 sets of dishes.
Wow.
7, no wait. We have 1 for meat, no, 5. 1 for meat, 1 for dairy, 1 for things that, we can just put that anywhere, that's what we call carb, which means it's not meat or dairy. And then for Passover, same thing, so that's, I guess, 6. So I guess we have 6 sets of dishes. Some are more or bigger sets than other sets. So we'll start with potato. So to make a potato kugel, the only thing you need to put in a potato kugel is potatoes and onions, eggs, a little bit of salt and pepper, a little bit of oil, that's it. And the key to a potato kugel is having some oil hot. My mother and grandmother always told me. Having some oil hot before you get started. So that when you put it in, you want to hear a sizzle.
So did you learn to cook from your grandma or your mom?
I learned a little from my grandmother, a little from my mom. I wasn't as much into cooking when my grandmother was probably willing to teach me. And now, you know, as with everything, I wish I could be. My grandmother always made this dish for the holiday, for the New Year's, that was with carp. It's a fish. And we'll just throw these in here. Yeah, sure, we're just going to toss those in. And I already, before you got here, just figured I'd get it started. And I never learned how to make it. So I keep trying and keep trying and keep trying. But recently he's mentioned to me, you don't have to try, which means I have totally failed. He thinks there's probably no chance in heck that I am going to get there. So, which is kind of funny. Because if you would do the pulse test, that would be perfect.
Is this one of your favorite dishes to make at all?
It is. I don't make it all that often because it's high carb. And it's funny because my family eats very few kugels, which I think they'll find rather interesting. That we're looking good. We're going to put 2 eggs in there, and you can just probably just pull that part off. You can do, we're going to start one. To make sure that there's no blood in the egg, we crack 1 at a time. And then if you crack it and doesn't look like there's any red in the thing, then you can just put it in. I'm going to put these in there.
So blood, it would just obviously it would have like a red
It'd be
thing.
red. And you don't see it too much anymore, which is why some people don't get as crazy about it. Recently though, I happen to have run into some eggs where there was blood in them. So I'm back to looking at cracking. There's a lot of people who believe that because of pasteurization and whatnot, that you really don't have that much of a problem anymore. So my mom doesn't like to cook with salt at all. And the problem is the potato kugel without salt is gross. If a potato kugel tastes very much like the inside of a potato pancake, if you do it right.
Oh, yeah.
So it should be like light and yeah, looks good. It should be light and creamy kind of inside and it'll be crispy on the outside if we do it right. And my mother always likes to hear that sizzle. But that's all it takes to make a potato kugel. It's just potatoes and eggs, salt and pepper, a little bit of oil, potatoes and eggs.
Did you used to keep kosher when you were growing up as well?
Yeah. It's hard. I don't eat anything. I like plain lettuce out. Plain, like if someone has veggies at a table, I'll eat the veggies if they're cold and they're raw. But I won't eat the dip more likely than not. So, it depends. There's different people you hear who do different levels of kosher. Some people only do it in their house. Some people only do it for meat products. Some people only do it, but the rule is, to keep kosher everywhere.
So you do keep kosher everywhere?
Mm-hmm.
Is it like hard when you go to like friends' houses?
Yeah,
and stuff?
it's hard. It's hard. There's a new person who just joined my office. You know, and I bring things in, and needless to say, she would like to bring things here, and I can't let her, and it's hard. You know, and I'll say, oh, come here and make it. But you know, unless you really understand why I'm doing it, you know what I mean? I kind of do sound. I don't know, I don't think I sound all that very nice, even though I've explained, you know, it's such a foreign concept to many people. But I guess, you know, cookles are really easy. We don't eat them as much because they're really fattening. So we've been doing more roasted vegetables than, you know, a kugel. But kugels are good. They're really, really good. They're too squeeze into. Here you can squeeze into this pan.
So, do you have any kids?
I do. We have 3 kids. Our daughter just got her master's at Columbia in international relations. And our next set, if you want to squeeze it from there, you're going to squeeze the water out. Like really, really tight. And when you're done, like if you want to take a piece, squeeze the water out and then throw it in your bowl. And my son just graduated from Syracuse University with a degree in finance. And he's also working in New York City. And then I have an almost 18-year-old son who's applying to colleges.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Do they keep kosher as well? Or?
Yes, one more than the other. So my son isn't as much into it, but my daughter is similarly.
Was it hard for them to do it while they were away at school at all?
For Rachel in particular, no, because interestingly enough, at Columbia, or actually when she was at Barnard College for her undergraduate degree, they had kosher food everywhere. I mean, every cafeteria had kosher food in it. And so there was never, when they did a school midnight pancake breakfast, there was a kosher pancake breakfast in the same place, which is phenomenal. And you don't usually get that.
Yeah.
Seth was at Syracuse. You had to make the attempt if you wanted to be there more. He was, more interested. He's I'll eat the meat stuff when I come home, and that's what he'll do.
So what's it like to cook for holidays and stuff? Do you?
We do all the major holidays.
Oh, that's awesome.
Because it's easier. Even though my parents live further away, it's easier for all of us to get together here. So it's my family, my brother and his family, my in-laws, and my brother-in-law.
Are you the head chef during the holidays?
I am the head chef. My mother has always been the head taster. She is the best taster. It is unbelievable. If you do, squeeze that margarine. Yep. And she's the best taster. I mean, she really, really is. I do it more by sight, and but if you really want it spot on, she's got it spot on.
Yeah, my dad's like that. Whenever I'm baking something, he's like, I'll take a sample of the little cookies.
We're good on that.
So when you cook, do you usually do measuring, or are you the type of chef that a little bit of this?
The first time I cook something, I'll measure it to just see, and then decide what I want to do with it differently. And then after that, I'm more by sight. And then because I might not want to be meat. I'm an ice cream and candy fan. And so if I'm cooking something that's not dairy, and especially if it's something meat, I might not want to try it. So my husband, of course, likes to try, or I just go with it the way it is. But I do really, really like to cook, and for the high holidays or for Passover. For Passover, you know the story, the Jews leave Egypt, and they leave Egypt. So you eat this apples, nuts, wine, and cinnamon dish that they call karosses. And so I make mine into pyramids. And so for New Year's, you eat honey, apples and honey. So I baked apple hives, and then I made bees out of sticky rice and colored them yellow and put on frosting. Okay, dump those in, give me half and half. Half for class. It kind of makes it easier that everyone comes here, because then we don't have to try to, are we at whose house, when and how. Now my in-laws don't keep kosher, So we go there for Thanksgiving, but they bring everything in, which is very, very nice of
Oh,
them.
that's so nice.
And yeah, it's very, very nice of them. And so that's why the other reason that it's easier to do holidays here also. My in-laws and my parents don't live that far apart, but it's easier to do those there. You could sprinkle these with breadcrumbs, but I thought today it would be kind of fun because we're not worried about it being fattening. And if we use some freshly fried onions on top, which
Yeah,
would
this
make
smells
them
amazing.
real good. Okay, and if you want to wash off, because we're now going to do the sweet one. And for Passover, we could have about 30 people.
Oh, wow. Cooking for an army.
Yeah, and then we also do the holiday, I'm sure you learned from this, and last year you learned about the holiday of Sukkot.
No, I didn't.
Okay, so that's a harvest holiday, and you eat in a hut outside. I'll show you pictures. So it's about as close as we come to decorating a Christmas tree. I would be terrible at decorating a Christmas tree because decorating a sukkah takes me forever to do. Because I just don't feel as secure in doing it, but started 800 years ago in Germany, and back then it was something that was added kind of like this dumpling kind of thing, and it used to be in the shape of a ball, and they talked about
So would it be like
more like I don't see how it seems so different from this matzo ball idea, because they said it began as bread batter containing a little egg and binding in the center, and you would stick it in on Sabbath. Lots of people eat this. They call it a Sabbath stew. It's called cholent. And it's the thing about it is you're cooking it from the time Sabbath starts until you go to eat it, because you have no way, you can't turn off your cooking mechanism. So if you cook in advance, you have no way then of getting it in your pot in order to get it hot.
Yeah.
So they make this thing called cholent. And it's usually, how I make it is beef and barley and potatoes and onions. And I put some ketchup in it and water. Some people make it without the barley. Some people make it with more vegetables. Like, you need to just make sure that whatever you're cooking for that many hours isn't going to fall apart on you.
Yeah.
And so to me, they said they used to take this, like these dumpling kind of balls, and put it in so that by the time it cooked, you'd have this ball type thing at the end of, when it was time to eat it for lunch.
It's so interesting how it like transformed into this.
Yeah.
Really,
So he says as the kugel came out of the cholent, that was that stew, which were rudimentary bread dumplings, they gradually became more things, and then sauteed onions started to be added, and then pepper and salt. There's a very famous kugel that I don't make. It's called Yerushalmi, and it is a salt and pepper type of kugel that also has a caramelized brown sugar to it. I have never made it. I'm not even sure I've eaten it, or maybe I've eaten it once and it hasn't stuck with me, because to me maybe it tastes a little, not burnt, but the like it depends how well you do the caramelization. So, but people talk about it all the time. So kugel Yerushalmi is extremely popular in Israel. And it's this combination of the salt and pepper noodle kugel and sweet noodle kugel. So like what we made, and then they add more salt and pepper to it and they caramelize it. And it's something that's very popular that some people eat. But you really could make, if someone said, what kind of kugel did you make today? And you told them the broccoli and the carrot, they would kind of, oh, you know, that's much more modern or whatever. The more traditional ones are the potato or the noodle. And then the fact that we did the spinach noodle, that's again a little bit more of a, you know, a modern touch to it.